Ladies and gentlemen, this next podcast will be scheduled for one fall with a 15-minute time limit, hailing from Brooklyn, New York, Nicholas Jason Lopez. And on the other side of the ring, his website, ProWrestlingOpinion.com, your home for pro wrestling news, reviews, and so much more. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome to the latest installment of my brand new-ish show, Intermission, where I will be talking about pro wrestling news for the next 15 minutes, so consider yourself a very lucky individual, or semi-lucky individual, sort of lucky individual. We'll roll with it. Anyways, as always with the weekends, not too much happening. Of course we are 1 week removed from the Royal Rumble, so once that happens, I'm sure there'll be a lot more happening upon the mainstream circuit. Yeah, so let's just shoot right into things before you freeze. At least if you're on the East Coast, we're supposed to be going down to like 5 degrees, 4 degrees, 3 degrees? I don't even know. Martin Luther King Day is going to be a cold, cold day. Not quite a cold day in hell, but pretty close. And moving on. Someone's got a status up saying, and people say wrestling is fake. Couldn't be further from the truth. This is one of my favorite things because people love to automatically dismiss pro wrestling as, oh, well, it's fake, it's scripted, it's this and that. Very true. But you're telling me the reason you go to the movies isn't the same exact reason why you would watch pro wrestling? Like, going into it, don't you know that it's fake? Don't you know that they're actors on a screen depicting a scene? You know, you gotta use the same logic here, because it's not that much different. Except what is different with wrestling is that it's thought out, choreographed. It's almost become like an art form these days. You do a 450 splash, land on your feet, and tell me it's successful. Johnny Gargano, home is where the heart is. Thanks for this weekend of all wrestling. They recently had a show right in my backyard, literally, maybe about 10, 15 blocks away. It's really cool. Couldn't make it out, but it's good to see Gargano is back to his roots, I guess. That's a cool thing about being with NXT is that they could still do appearances and things amongst that nature, but if you're like with Ring of Honor, New Japan, you don't quite have that same look. A lot of banter about football, as is to be expected on a Sunday. Coming up across a picture, Braun Strowman and RVD established 1988. Well, wow. Yeah, I don't think that's a real photo. Don't you love the internet? Oh, here we go. WCW Nation, WCW Uncensored, the single greatest billboard in the history of our great sport. Yeah, can argue with that. I do think Starrcade 97 had the coolest look to it. Of course, that was WCW's biggest show, and they managed to creatively mess that one up, but that topic in of itself just deserves its own episode, and I won't brisk over the details on this kind of format, but just know that if Starrcade 97 had been actually a really good show, which was the way it was looking to be, who knows what would have happened, The Attitude Era would have took a longer time to happen. I guess Starrcade 97 is always just meant to suck. You can hear that wind howling in the background, that's for sure. Whew. I don't envy that, that's for sure. I don't like winter. I'm always more of a summer baby, but that's just me. I guess I could talk a little bit about the Rumble. Touched up on it on previous episodes. Like I said, I don't see Finn Balor beating Brock Lesnar at this point, as cool as it would be. Shout out to a little meme going around of a girlfriend hugging her boyfriend while he's about to go into the fridge. It gets his attention, puts her arms around him, and, well, like Brock Lesnar does, flips him up for a German suplex. Yeah, it's pretty on point. Alright, seen another post in Real Pro Wrestling. CBS Sports. Oh, okay, this is a transcript, so let's go into it. Maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't. It's about 2 days old, but let's see what they say. CBS Sports. Obviously, you're very plugged in with your own loyal fan base and the internet wrestling community. No shit, Sherlock. But reaching people outside of that is going to be critical to AEW's success. What are the plans there to get some new eyeballs on the product? Such a weirdly worded question, but So Nick says, I still like getting back to the old school elements of what worked in pro wrestling years ago. I feel like one thing we will focus on more than anyone is not to insult the audience's intelligence, and we want to do long-term storytelling, which is very rare these days. And Matt likes to say it like this. A lot of people are into binge-watching Netflix series, and they like the storytelling element, so why can't we put that into the wrestling world and make it work? So we're going to look into things like that. Then Matt breaks in. Then you get a guy like Chris Jericho, who everybody knows, and not just in wrestling, you get a guy like that to help bridge that gap. And the people who don't necessarily know who the Young Bucks are, they probably know who Chris Jericho is. The other one is, eventually we have to get on TV, on a network that supports us. That's how you get eyeballs on your show. Everybody still watches television. I don't care what anybody says. It's very important. Also, you'll hear wrestling fans complain about storylines. Sometimes there's plot holes. I want to do bits on the show that carry over week to week to week, and I want to pay off every single thing. I want to tie up every loose end. I want to really pay off the viewer. I want them to watch and then to feel rewarded by the end of the storyline. I mean, they said it. These are things we usually criticize WWE about. Is ever notice how they'll bring out one thing, and if it's not working after like 3 weeks, gone from the face of the earth, like it never existed. That's like one of my biggest pet peeves with WWE. So it's good to see that they're at least acknowledging, and you don't want to be like your competition either. So it's all about logic. That's good. That's what's gonna tie fans to wrestling storylines. All you have to do is just make it make sense. Put on some good matches, and you're set. WWE is a whole another soap opera aspect to the whole thing, so it's a little bit different, but AEW at least has a good logistical logic behind it. Yeah, let's go with that. WC Nation, WCW Backstage Assault was the last WCW game ever in a bid to be quote-unquote different and take advantage of the hardcore wrestling craze. The gameplay in the entire pro wrestling video game never takes place in an actual wrestling ring. The only true upside to this entire project is that it had a commentary track by Tony Schiavone and Bobby the Brain Heenan. The game was a poorly received failed experiment, as many of the WC storylines in 2000 and Backstage Assault only sold 200,000 copies. That's pretty WCW 2000, not gonna lie. I mean, at least the idea of it is admirable, but I mean, it does seem a little bit weird to have a WCW game come out in 2000 with Tony Schiavone and the Brain on commentary. I'm not complaining. They're one of my favorite broadcast pairs, at least if you're going to WCW commentary, but that's just me. There isn't much room for moral high ground in professional wrestling. I'll just nod along and agree with that. Scrolling. Oh, some people are likening the finish to the Rams and Saints main event to the Montreal Screwjob. and someone posted a comment of the Big Show crying, which is sadly very easy to find. Poor Big Show. That's what happens when you get stuck in the business for so long. You're there, they just don't know what to do with you. Sad, sad truth. Someone posted a snapshot of Broken One Matt Hardy. No, I am not retired and not going to be retiring anytime soon. I've worked my ass off to rehabilitate and I've physically been greenlit. My body is in the best shape it's been in years and I'm the lightest I've been in 20 years. That can only be a good thing, obviously. I mean, it does go to say I am quite disappointed with what WWE has done to the Broken character. Just the only good thing to ever come of it was probably the introduction segment between Hardy and Wyatt and the team that did come out of it, but it was much too short to live, much too short lived. The feet were basically in the water. They didn't get to swim. So if he does come back, I would like them to pick off where they had been. But this is it's a far cry from what TNA was doing. I'm sorry, Impact Wrestling. To me, what they were doing with the Broken Hardy character, they pretty much revitalized interest in the product. Just their 2016 alone, seeing the whole evolution of the storyline and how outlandish it could be. Lucha Underground made it mainstream, but the Hardy formula really took the ball and ran with it so much further. I'm pretty sure it saved Impact Wrestling, but again, that's just me. WCW Nation again. Luger shocks the world on Nitro, August 4th, 97. If anybody doesn't know, that's the match where he unexpectedly beat Hulk Hogan. While they were building Sting and Hogan for Starrcade 97, Luger emerged as a obstacle, I guess, to Hogan, and nobody actually expected him to win. A risky booking decision, but one that ultimately paid off. I'm very disappointed that Luger only basically held the belt for 6 days. It seemed a little weak, but the actual idea of it as a storyline, top notch. And if you watch that reaction to the pinfall, until Goldberg beats Hogan, that's the biggest reaction from a WCW fan base ever. Picture of the LWO, as we all know, Latino World Order, which was basically a stable lost in a mountain of other stables. The Giant. I mean, WCW Nation is really just dominating my timeline, so this is becoming a WCW episode. Intentionally, unintentionally, not gonna complain, but at least it's mostly good WCW. I mean, yeah, we did have Backstage Assault show up, so I can't really help that, but it could be worse. Could be worse, for sure. And someone dropped the classic CM Punk quote. Let's face it, you don't wear the pants in the family, but you do wear her panties, don't ya? Pipe bomb. Psh. Classic CM Punk. I mean, that was a good run. It was a memorable summer. They did mess it up once Punk lost to Triple H, and they had that whole triangle thing with Kevin Nash, and they took the hottest act in the company and just kind of smushed him down. And then he had to turn heel, eventually lost his title, and doesn't have the longest title reign anymore. So, I mean, just bringing back memories of that is, and thinking about it, that's about 6-7 years ago. So time goes by insanely quick. CM Punk gonna show up in AEW? I highly doubt it. I don't see it happening. But this is wrestling, so never say never. Oh God, I sound like Justin Bieber now. This is a bad way to end an episode, but Nevertheless, this has been Intermission. Thank you so much.